welcome to another episode of Relationship Smart Women. I'm Nicole Matheson. I wanted to talk today about a bit more about the beauty load, in particular about shame. I think body image and our looks and this cultural, societal pressure that I call the beauty load. If there's one thing it makes us feel as women, it is shame. And in my book, The Beauty Load, I go through all the different types of shame that we feel in relation to the beauty load. Shame that comes from our family, generational shame, fat shaming, religious shame, general public shame that could be in the form of ability, sexuality, race, appearance-based shaming. But the media shames us. It's what they do. They kind of do a before and after pic. And we often look like the before pic. It's kind of shaming. Saying how good and how ideal the after pic is. Leaving us feeling shit about ourselves. You know, then there's how harsh we are on other women. We tend to be. More so than we are on men, you know. What is she thinking? What is she wearing? Did you see what she's wearing? We can be so harsh. Tall poppy shame, tall poppy syndrome is huge in the culture that I grew up in Australia. We worry about putting ourselves out there for fear of being torn down. We make ourselves small so that we don't get torn down. Well, some of us do, or it's a tactic that we can use. But we self-shame as well. We shame internally. We say nasty things. They're our critical, negative self-voice. And then we sometimes shame ourselves or feel ashamed of the fact that we care about so much about how we look and feel so worried about it. We should be over it by now. We shouldn't care. And there's shame in that. Shame for feeling the beauty load. Even though our culture has conditioned and instilled this pressure, this stress, the importance of looking good in our psyches. So it's shame-filled, shame-riddled. And I was recently listening to an audiobook called Fierce Intimacy by Terry Real, and it just was so brilliant. I'm going to go study with Terry Real now because I love his work. It just made sense with the way I work. And he talked about shame, and I want to add this in to my ideas about the beauty load. So he talked about shame being on the other end of a stick or a spectrum from grandiosity, and that both shame and grandiosity came from the emotion of contempt. But with shame, contempt was pointed inwards towards ourself, and with grandiosity, contempt was pointed outwards towards others. Shame, he speaks about as being one down. So you put yourself below and worse and less valuable and less worthy than others. And grandiosity is one up. You one up yourself above the other that you are pointing out flaws in or trying to feel better than. It kind of takes us into this that grandiosity at least takes us into this competitive world. But the grandiosity is a response to shame, don't you think? Is feeling like we're not enough. And so this is a tool we are using, our way of feeling better about ourselves, because we don't feel great. So we feel better about ourselves by bringing someone else down, by pointing out their imperfections and their flaws. So kind of a lot of that beauty load shame, that woman to woman shame, that tall poppy shame, the general public shaming, comes from that grandiosity, doesn't it? And Terry Real talks about what we need to do if we are in shame. So if we're one down, if we're kind of putting ourselves below everybody else, the antidote to that is to bring ourselves up to eye level, to some kind of equilibrium. I like the visual idea of this, of like just bringing ourselves up to eye level. Looking people in the eye feels like something you don't want to do when you're in shame. So it's kind of physiologically changing things as we raise ourselves up. I like to allow, when I talk to my clients about this, I feel like it's about allowing ourselves to be messy. Messy human to messy human. Eye level with other messy humans. We don't have to be perfect. So we raise ourselves up. We exist in a world, even though we're imperfect, with our imperfections, with other humans who are also imperfect. We're not putting them on a pedestal either. And then when we're grandiose, he talks about bringing ourselves down to eye level, from being above, perched above, having ourselves on that pedestal perhaps, coming down to eye level. I am messy and imperfect, actually. I don't need to be grandiose to be okay, to feel okay about myself. Yeah, so it really strikes me after having written this book about the culture of this beauty load pressure, that we're actually really stuck in this cycle of shame and grandiosity, and that we can't get out of this pressure and feel better about ourselves while we are still using contempt on ourselves or on others. That we really have to allow ourselves to be messy, imperfect humans, talking to other messy, imperfect humans. And I think that takes maturity, right? I feel like our younger selves, I know me as a sort of adolescent to young adult, believed in this ideal, strove for an ideal, still was living in the fairy tale of expectations of how things were going to look, how I was going to look, what I was striving towards, and how everyone around me needed to be. And I think, you know, when you talk, I'm surrounded by young humans, young teenagers, with my children being around that age, and I feel the expectations, the ideals, the grandiosity of it that young humans have. It's such a harsh time, actually, adolescence, where they're so easy to come down hard on you if you stuff up or go out of their expectation or the norms or the ideals, or they're embarrassed by you, or anyway. So I feel it is a process of getting to a place where you accept messiness, messy human in yourself and in others, and you reckon with your own expectation, your own ideals, and you come to acceptance. But I think that is the place where we feel less of the beauty load, and we create less of it for the humans, the other messy humans in our life. Messy human to messy human. Yeah. So my loves, just an update. I recently revealed the cover of my book, The Beauty Load. So go check out Instagram, follow at nicole.matheson if you don't already, to check out the cover of the book. We're in the last phases of just getting all the words right, the typesetting, all of that. And we're going to have the launch mid to late April. At this stage, it's coming. It's so exciting. So many of you have said that you can't wait to read it. So I really, really appreciate your love and your support. And I cannot wait to share it with you. In the meanwhile, you take really good care of yourself and be gentle, be messy. Come one up or one down to eye level, messy human to messy human. Take care.